Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, my email pinged. I was expecting the email. It was from the social worker at my dad's retirement community. Megan, we are so very sorry to read that your dad is on a ventilator. And I am also very sorry to say our copy of his advance directive is also not notarized. I do not know how this happened. How could she not know how this happened? Her job was to have the paperwork for my parents so that I could be the daughter and not the person that constantly needed to be on top of everybody else's things. I stepped away from the computer and time kind of did what it does. I don't really know. I know I started pacing around our house. I know that I was barefoot because I can remember the feeling of the hardwood floor. And somewhere instinctively, I started tickling the hardwood floor with my toes. And my breathing started to slow. And I returned to myself. I literally looked up to the ceiling and I cried out, God, I don't know what to do. Please, please help me. Almost instantly, the name of my dad's attorney popped into my mind. I returned to the computer, went to Google, typed in his name, found the number. My hands were kind of quivering. I had my cell phone and I dialed. I was not expecting a live human to pick up the phone, but he did. The attorney barely said good mo, and words gushed out of my mouth. Hi, my name is Megan Malick, and I'm Guy Malick's oldest daughter, and yesterday he was put on a ventilator, and I don't have a notarized advance directive. I need to get that from you, and we have to put power of attorney in place, and the attorney cut me off. I still feel the chill. His words were so calm, so even. It felt almost cold. Megan, I'm so sorry to hear what's happening with your father. I do not have a notarized copy of his advance directive. There is no power of attorney paperwork. Your father has your mother's real will. I need to talk to you about that. Since her death last month, we need to start working on. That's about where I kind of was listening and I kind of wasn't. I don't know if you're familiar with Peanuts and Charlie Brown, but this is what I heard. Wah, 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 tax. Wah, 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 retirement account. Wah, 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 due. Wah, 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 9 months. Okay, great. We hung up the phone and I just felt speechless. I literally felt like I was a kindergarten student. I had my backpack and my lunch pail, and I was looking for my shape so that I could hang my things up. But the teacher that talked to me was expecting me to defend my doctoral dissertation. To say that there was a disconnect would be an understatement. I felt like I was in an alternate reality or a parallel universe. How had my life changed so significantly in a month's time? If this were a movie, we would flash back to last month, to a beautiful, crisp, cold January day in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm making a cup of honey lavender tea. I'm talking to my dad on the phone, and he says, "Do you want mom to call you after her shower?" And I say, "No, I have a full day of clients. I'll give her a call later." I go upstairs. I look out the windows that face north. I light a candle. I say a prayer to the divine, asking to be open to the spirit in my sessions with clients. And I work what is one of the absolute best days of my entire career as a therapist. I had 3 back-to-back sessions, and each one was so powerful, so alive. It was electric. I felt so congruent. I came down the stairs for lunch, and my spouse, Joe, was standing at the bottom of the stairs. And he said, "You need to call your dad." And in that moment, I knew. My mom's dead, isn't she? His eyes teared. That was the first time the tidal wave of grief crashed into me, and I collapsed into his arms, weeping. That feeling of being crashed into and knocked off of my feet, that's the same feeling I had the morning that I received the email from the social worker. It's the same feeling I had talking to the attorney. It's the same feeling I had throughout the entire process. For me, acute grief feels something like this. Giant, enormous wave knocks Megan off of her feet. She becomes upended. Feels like something inside is being ripped apart. Then a live current of panic courses throughout my entire body, and I feel like I'm a live wire. Like, don't touch me, or I could maybe shock you to death. Or something inside of me is being shocked to death. It was uncomfortable being in my own skin. That feeling was with me every drive to the hospital. It was with me as I tried to figure out how to pay the bills for Dad, how I tried to figure out how to pay taxes for Dad. It was with me when my sisters and I made the hardest decision of our lives to let Dad go. It was with me when I stepped into the role of a state administrator. I couldn't touch a piece of paper without this darn feeling. By the fall of 2022, I'd been parentless for 6 months, and I had become very aware that I needed to boundary the time of working on the estate and the logistics related to my parents from the rest of my life. My grief needed tending. I needed time and space to return to me. I also was very aware that the people in the systems seemed just a little disturbed by the fact that I might demonstrate even a drop of grief. So I always felt like I needed to ask grief to wait outside of my meetings so that I could show up as the calm, cool, collected, professional Megan. And if I'm really, really honest with you, a part of me resented my deep primal grief too. The therapist in me, the one that's been trained to do this stuff with people, the one that's walked with people, officiated at funerals, has been by many a person's bedside when they've died. That part of me was shocked at how very little the help that I had to offer helped. Then something magical happened. I was sitting down to the computer in November to sell stock on Ameritrade. The financial advisor had said we needed to harvest losses for the end of the tax year and the estate process. So I logged on like the dutiful administrator that I was, and I started to get ready to click, and I felt that grief feeling coming toward me. And I decided to just let it flow. Big, fat Hollywood tears started to roll down my cheeks. I can remember them plunking on my computer keyboard. And I watched as you clicked sell and it would go bloop and it would just disappear. And I had to do this over and over again. I was weeping and selling Ameritrade stock at the same time. And then I started to actually laugh a little. because I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder this is so hard. I'm like literally watching my dad disappear before my eyes. He picked each of these. Every time I do this, I'm making more real that my dad is dead. Every time I'm doing anything related to my mom's retirement account, I'm making more real that she's dead. No, there's nothing mundane about any of this. This is a really sacred process that I'm doing. No wonder it's so laborious. No wonder I feel so deeply. My body and brain are trying to make sense of the unsensible. In less than 3 months, I'd lost both my mom and my dad, and I was now the matriarch of the Malick family at only 45. This is not what I planned for my 2022. No wonder. Oh, well, that epiphany was life-saving. It was like, oh, your heart and your soul, that which is most true to you, you thought you needed to keep that separate from this? No, they actually get to come into this process. And better than that, they're going to lead. And they did. For the rest of the estate process, my heart and my soul led me. My heart and soul intuitively knew how to live through those giant waves and those panic surges. My heart and my soul knew how to juggle the role of estate administrator with the profound grief and loss. Most of all, and maybe most importantly, my heart and my soul intuitively knew that that raw primal grief belonged to the little girl living in me, the one who'd lost her mommy and her daddy, and that she needed room to grieve. She'd been told by the world that she was too much, too sensitive, too big of a heart, that she needed to harden up and she would never make it. Well, my heart and my soul knew that wasn't true. I got to hold her and say, your sensitivity is sacred, and your grief is too. My heart and my soul are my gifts to the world. And as I learned to claim that and my grief, I started to write more. Now, those who know me know I've actually written my whole life. This is not a shocker. This is not a mic drop moment. But what is the mic drop moment is how public my writing became. You see, my heart and soul needed my story to be out there, not for me, but for all of the other accidental matriarchs out there like me, who felt lost and alone and confused and like something was really wrong with them. So, on the second anniversary of my mom's death, I started a Substack newsletter entitled The Accidental Matriarch. I'd also started writing another project, and that's because several of my friends were following behind me. They were also losing their parents and being cast in this role, and they were asking me what to do. And well, I was so bogged down in my grief, there was very little I felt I could do, but I started to write and send them things. And they said, oh my gosh, this is really good. You should do something with this. So I did. I wrote the book I wish I would have had. My book is my love letter to all of you out there who are tasked with the Herculean chores of settling someone's affairs and living with all of the grief. I needed you to know you are not crazy if it feels like it's a lot, because it is. And I founded a new path to make loud to the world that your grief is not pathological and it is not a disorder. In fact, when you are allowed to feel and process your grief, your body and your brain start to heal. More than that, your grief doesn't need to be separate from the paper. It will be with the paper. Whether you're planning well ahead, you're at the end of life with someone, or you're settling your person's affairs, you will feel grief. We cannot separate our hearts from our heads, our paper from our personhood, our love from our grief. They are inextricably connected. Friends, there is not a get out of grief card, not for any of us, not even this professional who thought she could probably self-help her way out of feeling it. If you have love, You will have grief. We grieve when we lose who and what we love. When we feel it and face it, we don't get over it, but we integrate it. We deepen, we grow. And for all of my heart-led and intuitive folk out there, those of us who've been told we're too much, we're too sensitive, we're too empathetic, I'm just here to say that is our gift to the world. You know, I can feel probably the full piano range of emotions, all 8 octaves. I've been able to do that my whole life. When I started being the estate administrator, I thought that was my biggest liability. It was actually my best asset. Being able to fully feel my feelings and allow them to move through my body allowed me to release things, to process things, to not hold them on. Best of all, it made more space in me to feel more love, more compassion, more gratitude, more joy. To be able to feel joy and grief at the same time. Yes, I can do both. And so can you. Our hearts are strong, people. They are strong. When everything changed, when everything changed. When everything changed, I'd already accepted that I was a big heart and soul person. And I knew grief. I knew I accepted my heart and soul, but I did not celebrate it. When everything changed, I desperately longed to hold on to that person who worked the best day of her career the morning her mother died. I wanted to go back to being her. I didn't want to surrender to the grief journey and the transformation that encountering grief entails, but I did. I think my friends may have sensed my resistance. Some of my closest friends and colleagues challenged me that I might have been avoiding my grief by writing, by publishing a book, and by founding a new business. My heart and my soul knew that wasn't true. But what I didn't know until just last week, when a new path officially published, is why. I knew part of my grief process was being worked out. I thought I was honoring my parents' legacy. And that's important, but that's not why. I was learning to live my legacy. You see, the work of settling someone's affairs is taking things apart. It's dissolving things. It's disintegrating things. Well, I'm a professional healer. I'm all about bringing things together and integrating, and I'm creating. So I needed to create something in this space to hold on to me, to preserve me, to reclaim me. I needed to find something beautiful in all of the bureaucratic red tape and the destruction. I needed to see beauty. I needed to show the world that in the places and spaces where you think beauty doesn't exist, it can be found, that you can be beautiful, that we can be beautiful. I needed to begin embodying and modeling for all of us the words of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She said, the most beautiful people that we know are those who have known destruction. They have known suffering, struggle, loss, and they have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed,